How's it going? I don't have a fire going tonight because I was too tired to bring wood in. So, and Sebastian's gone, and don't you feel sorry for me? Anyways, and I'm too cheap to turn the heater on, so my hands are cold. Okay, so here's my goal. I want to prep some journal covers. I have a bunch of books that that I want to make into journals at some point in the future. I don't know. And a lot of them need some like TLC. Okay. They need some like extra affection. And so I thought, okay, this would be a good opportunity to sort of just show you guys what I do with these books where, they need something extra, where like the spines are falling apart. And mostly, towards somebody who has maybe, always chosen books to repurpose or to make into junk journals that were in good condition versus something that is not so good condition because they, were unsure about, the stability or the strength of the spine and stuff. So a couple reasons why. So this is, sort of geared towards a beginner type of journal maker, right? So a couple reasons why you would want to take a book like this that obviously has, considerable wear and damage to the spine. A couple reasons why you would want to save that, right? Well, at least for me, this is my thinking. First of all, if the spine is particularly beautiful, like, if I think that the spine is just really, really pretty and I don't want to cover it with fabric or something else, and I want to maintain the spine, okay, because I like the way it looks. And if I want, well, I mean, that's really the main reason, but also depending on how I'm going to stitch the book. So how I'm going to bind it. A lot of times people will do a hidden spine where there's no stitching coming through the spine of the book. A lot of times people will do that on a book where the spine is somewhat fragile. Okay. Because, they don't want to put holes in it or, and normally I do that. I always stitch through the spine just because I like the way it looks. And it just gives an opportunity for a little bit of embellishment without completely like decorating it. You know what I mean? Anyways, plus I think when you stitch through the spine, I think it just adds a layer of kind of like exposing your workmanship, sort of, like it, maybe not your workmanship, but just, it says this is a repurposed book. That's what it says to me, that it was this book, and now it's something else. And now it's a piece of art or something, right? So anyway, but yeah, so a lot of times people won't want to stitch through the spine, so they will reinforce it to the point where, it's going to at least hold together so that they can do a hidden spine. And when I say hidden spine, I mean where you stitch your signatures into another piece, usually like, heavy card or fabric, and then that is glued into the book somehow. Okay. Like usually, along the two sides. So anyways, my reasoning is always that I want this spine to be sturdy enough that I can stitch in it. Okay. So I might do things different than other people. I don't know. But yeah, so and this is just my way of doing it. There's a gazillion ways of doing everything on the planet. So, there's no right or wrong, and you guys hear that all the time. or at least I hear that all the time. And there is really no right or wrong when it comes to playing around with used books and making junk journals. There's no rules. So you do whatever you want. But I just thought it would be good to kind of show you guys what I do and give you some ideas maybe. So yeah, so these books I have pulled out because I just want to, sometimes I like the challenge of it too. Like this is part of my personality. I just like the challenge of, you know, making this book into something valid again. Like it's lost its validity kind of, because it was on its way to the dump for one thing, but it's, you know, it's also, it's falling apart, and you know, it looks like garbage. You know what I mean? So I just want it to, I want it to still, you know, look like it's been well loved and all of that, but I want to give it some life again. Anyway, so this one is pretty bad, but I think I can save it. I really do. I think I can turn this into something beautiful. So I think we should work on this one. I'm a little nervous to do it on video, but we can. I just want to show you some other books that I'm also trying to salvage. So this is a little French book. I actually just got a set of 24 of these, and these are going to be my monthly minis for March. There's a bunch. See? And I've already kind of prepped a bunch of these. So there was actually only 2 of these, 2 or, well, more than 2, but there was 5 that I decided I probably wasn't going to use for different reasons. But like this one, because it's like covered with mold. But yeah, so these are the ones that I decided not to use. This one's pretty warped, and it's got this weird wrinkling in the cover. And then this one, I probably could use it if I was going to add some kind of embellishment here. And that's actually an option. So I'm going to hang on to these. I'm definitely, you know, not going to get rid of them. But yeah, so you know, these were the worst of the bunch. Anyway, but I thought I would try to salvage this one, and because it was a good opportunity to show you guys, you know, they can be pretty far gone, and you can still bring them back, and you can still use them, and you can still stitch in the spine, is what I guess that's what my main point is. So this one, it's real thin. It's hard, doesn't come through on camera very well, but it's real thin. But I really wanted to preserve this spine, and I'm gonna when I stitch this one, I'm gonna do this a way that I don't think I've ever done with journals that I had for sale. But I'm going to do it with like small stitches, like on the top and bottom. And so it's going to be like 2 knots, one on the inside, one on the top and one on the bottom. So anyways, I wanted to do this one, and I'm just going to reinforce it a little bit. And then this Dickens book. And yeah, so these are just a couple books that I've already gutted, and I'm working on just reinforcing them a little bit. Okay. So anyways, pretty grungy. Like they're pretty grungy, and that's cool. Like I'm good with that. I want the grunge. And then this one, it's a leather bound book. So I want to retain that, and just needs some loving up here on the top. You know, but again, I'm going to stitch through the spine on this, so it needs to be reinforced on the inside. All right, so that's that. So let's just start with this one, and then maybe we'll work on this one. Okay. Let me move this stuff out of the way. I just kind of wanted you to see, like, you know, it's a pile of books that a lot of people would just say, no way, like, no, thank you. And I like a challenge, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try anyway. That other one might wind up being a total flop, but I'm going to try. So, but let's just start with this one. And so I've already cut the book block out, as you can see. I was going to show you, let's see if I can find one where I can show you how I do that. Because I've shown this before, but I kind of wanted to show you this like alternate method of gutting a book where the spine is really fragile and real thin and like, you know, in danger of getting cut. So because sometimes it's hard to be, you know, confident that when you start cutting this, that you're not going to cut through that fabric, you know, at whatever angle, you know, I mean, you can definitely do it, but there is a way of doing this. And I actually saw this, Tracy Fox had a video a while back where she gutted a book like this. And I thought it was really cool because it's safer, like with a fragile book like this. So what you want to do is open the book somewhere in the center, towards the center, in between two signatures. So you want to be, you know, in the center of two signatures, and you can see there's like a gap there. Okay, you can see the gap. So basically, on the back of this book block, there's fabric. Okay, there's fabric that they glued all of these signatures to. And so, well, and there's usually stitched to it too. Anyway, well, no, these are just glued to it. Sorry. They're stitched to each other, and then that book cloth is glued on the back of the book block. So you're cutting through the fabric that is glued onto the pages. So you want to open the book up so that you have that opening. You can see basically down through the middle of it. And then just carefully work your blade down between those two signatures. You're cutting through that fabric and glue and that kind of stuff. So, you know, use a sharp blade. You definitely want to use a sharp blade. I think they say that the most dangerous tool in the kitchen is a dull knife. And I think that's true for X-Acto knives too. So, sorry, my finger is blocking this, but I'm just trying to stabilize that. Okay, so I cut through that fabric. So you can see the fabric, well, kind of. There's actually paper stuck to it too. But anyway, so we've got that cut in half. And then what you want to do is open the book up all the way backwards, and then fold the cover back like that. Okay. And then I'm going to angle the pages sort of towards me a little bit. And then I'll just take my blade at this angle. And what that does is it eliminates the danger of cutting through that fabric. Okay. So instead of, you know, trying to miss it by cutting this way, if I hadn't cut through the book block, I'm moving the fabric out of the way so it's safe, and then I can just cut straight down this paper and just cut that paper. I'm kind of, just so you know, like I'm sort of angling my blade a little bit that way, like towards the book pages. Now that I'm actually doing it, like I'm realizing that I am sort of angling it towards the book pages, just to sort of be safe, you know. And remember that there's twine in here too that you're going to cut through in, you know, most of these books. There's also that twine. Hang on, I've gone off track here. Just a minute. Okay. So, so you see what I'm saying, though. You see the idea. Like, it just takes that fabric out of the way, so you're not really in danger of cutting it. Okay. What a mess. Yeah, there's usually like a couple pieces of twine that they've added into the binding just for, like, you know, strength and stability or whatever. So, you know, you have to cut through those too. Most of the time. Or sometimes it's like a little strip of like real heavy, like linen or something. Anyway, so I'm just going to kind of tear off this paper that's just loose and stuff. And then I got to get rid of this stuff that didn't get cut off. And you got to be careful at this point, because this is this is often where I will accidentally cut through that fabric again. But if you do, it's not that huge of a deal. Like, you can still fix it. So I'm just cutting off anything that's like loose here. If it's glued down, I'm just leaving it glued down. Like, if it's still attached, it's fine. I'm just leaving it. I'm just cutting off anything that's like loose in the way of the bend of the cover, right? And then you also want, I'm going to do that side too, but you also want to, if this paper that's in here is loose, you just take it out. Like, it's really not, it's not really even doing anything. It's just in there, you know? So now it's just the fabric, right? So this is kind of glued to the fabric right there. I'm just sort of gently pulling it away. There we go. So now it's a straight shot, and it's free. This paper is free from the fabric now. So now I can see the fabric, and I'm not so nervous about cutting through it. Okay. All right. And then, so that's pretty clean. Like, you know, just, you want to just make sure that you don't feel any like big ridges and that kind of stuff. Check the end paper to be sure that, you know, it's actually not totally loose. Like, sometimes the end paper is like loose because there's been so much pressure put on the book block at different times that sometimes it pulls that glue off. So you just want to make sure that that's still glued down and that it's secure on the top and bottom. Okay. And then the next thing I look at is the fabric, this little strip that goes across here. It actually goes all the way around. You want to tack that down. I'm just going to tack it down with a little bit of art glitter glue. Mine and everybody else's favorite new glue, right? Well, I guess it's not new. It's actually old glue, but since the 80s. I used to actually do like a lot with glitter, and I used to use this glue for glitter, believe it or not. Anyway, so I'm just tacking those two little bits down, and yeah. So I'll turn it over on this side. Anything that is like really coming off, just sort of, you know, pick it off or whatever. But I don't mind a little bit of fraying. I think that's fine. That little bit of frayed fabric is totally fine. Yeah, so there we go. So it's just the fabric now. And then, so I want to look at whether I think, so there's some material that's missing on the top and the bottom, right? So I don't want to use like, okay, what I'm going to use is this gauze bandage, because I love it, and it's already like in the perfect width, and it's real strong, and I'm going to use a couple layers of it. So anyway, I wouldn't use the bright white. I coffee dyed some of it so that in this scenario, it you know, it looks better. I think what's going to show through on the top and bottom, it looks better to me. It's just what I think. Okay, so then to attach this is going to be our first layer of like reinforcement on here, and if there's tears or anything like that, this is how we're going to hold it together. So like on this one, that's how this is going to get like held back together, and it just kind of like stabilizes it. It stabilizes the fabric on the spine, because, you know, it had that paper on it before, like 150 years ago. And, you know, that's obviously not doing any good now. Okay, so we glued those down. I'm going to use this Scotch permanent glue stick. This is my glue of choice. This is my choice. You use whatever glue you want. I just think that you don't want to use a lot of water, like a really wet glue, I think. You can, but I was thinking that like Yes paste would probably be great for this. Spread on like with a palette knife. But to be honest, like I just like these glue sticks because this glue is really good. Like it's very, very strong, and you know, they're not expensive, they're clean, and it's not wet, you know, and I can get a nice thin, even layer of glue on here. So anyway, and I am going to apply a little bit of pressure so that I make sure and get this glue in all the little nooks and crannies. Okay, and into the texture of the fabric and in those little cracks in between the paper and the fabric. And yeah, so I'm going to kind of work it in so that it gets like in between there, you know, like in this little gap. I want to just get a little bit of glue in there. And oh, so here's what I was going to say. Sorry guys, I know I go like totally off into left field sometimes. But you want to use a flexible glue. That's the most important thing. You want it to be flexible. There was a time where I would use hot glue up to the edge of my my back cover and my front and back cover, and then I would use a little bit down the center, but I don't use that anymore. It's just too hard, and it cracks and stuff. Anyway, so what I want to do then, sorry, focus, Jessica. All right. So I'm cutting a strip of this gauze so that it's just, you know, maybe a quarter of an inch. It just happens to be about a quarter of an inch wider than, you know, on either side. If you don't have this, which I'm sure most of you won't, just cut a strip of like cheesecloth. Now this gauze, actually, I buy this cheesecloth that is almost exactly the same. This is the second time I've done this video, so that's why I'm sort of like all over the place. Can't remember what I said and what I didn't say. Anyways, so this is extra fine cheesecloth. You can find it on Amazon. I'll put it in the description. But anyways, it's almost exactly the same as this gauze that I get. Okay, this is old gauze. It's vintage gauze from like Macy's. It's like, it's really old, but still sturdy. But it's almost exactly the same as this extra fine cheesecloth. So if you don't have this, which I'm pretty sure you don't, just get some of this extra fine cheesecloth. It's nice. You can use regular cheesecloth too if you want to, you know, but just realize that it has a much bigger weave, and, you know, probably 2 layers is going to be, you know, a must, you know, maybe 3. Or you can use book cloth. Okay. Book cloth, I don't have any to show you, but book cloth is a wider weave, kind of like cheesecloth, but it's heavier weight. So anyways, before this glue dries, I better do this. Okay, so I want there to be a little bit extra, like a double layer on the top and on the bottom. So I cut this about 2 inches longer than the height of this book. Okay, so I'm going to put it on basically upside down to start. And then I'm going to add a little bit more glue right there. And then I'm going to press that down so that it's ever so slightly up above the cover, the you know, the line of the cover. And that is kind of like, I don't know, it's sort of like a faux headband on the spine. Okay, that's the little band part that's usually in a book binding. I'm adding a little extra glue because I blabbed so long it started to dry. And it dries fast, that glue. So that's another thing that I like. Okay, so I want to press this down, and then at the bottom, before I press it all the way down, I want to cut it about, you know, 1/2 inch past the bottom, and then fold that under and press it down. There's enough glue on there that it's going to come up through the fibers of the fabric and grab it. And then, and I'm just showing you what I do. And then I use a baby wipe and just go back, and it's not super wet, you know, it's just that it's just helping me to press this down into all the little nooks and crannies to be sure that it's really stuck in there and the fabric's not going to stick to this. Because if I use my fingers to do this, eventually I'm going to be pulling the fabric off with my finger because it's going to stick to my finger, you know, especially this like porous fabric. So, okay, so that's that. And then this is how it looks, you know, from the outside. Okay. So there's a couple little pieces here that are sort of, you know, sticking up a little bit. They're not, I'm just going to glue those down a little bit. Use the art glitter glue and just kind of tack those down, just so they're not in danger of tearing even more, you know. This little piece right here. And then I'm going to wipe off the excess. So yeah, the corners on this book are kind of messed up. They're like frayed, you know. So I'm probably going to wind up putting book corners on this. But what I want to do, like, just to kind of strengthen it a little bit, you can see that it's like in layers. You know, the book board is really just layers of paper compressed. See how it's like, you know what I mean? So what I do is I just take some glue and sort of pat it all over on there, and then I sort of massage it in and then squeeze it. Just squeeze it real tight. And that just kind of stabilizes that corner. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Even though I'm probably going to put book corners on it, I still want it to be sort of stable. So I kind of massage it in with my finger so it gets in between the layers, and then just give it a little squeeze. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing right here on this section because I can see that the layers are starting to separate and I can't put a book corner right there. So I definitely want to stabilize that. You know, because what we're kind of trying to do is like mitigate like further damage, you know, like we're sort of trying to just like stop it in its tracks. There's damage, distress, whatever you want to call it, but we're just kind of trying to prevent it from getting worse. So I'm going to do this corner. And I'm using the art glitter glue because it dries so quick. But you could definitely use like PVA or something like that. And I might as well do this corner. So this is a good way to kind of stabilize your corners when they're like really like, you know, dented and stuff, and they just get soft and kind of floppy. You can do this to you know, help them just, you know, stiffen up again. Okay, so that's kind of like, you know, the minimum amount of stabilization, I'm going to call it, for this cover. Okay. I am going to add another layer of fabric here, but I think I might add fabric or paper on the inside too, you know, and then I'll add at least one more layer of cheesecloth and maybe even a thicker fabric, like, you know, some linen or something like that, you know. But this is just to kind of stabilize it and prevent like further damage. Okay. So let's see what we can do on this one. Okay. This is going to be fun. Well, I'm just going to go for it. We just have to gut it. First, I need to find my pin for this glue. I actually found some stainless steel pins for that. Of course, I can't find them now, but anyway. Okay. I'm actually going to change this blade real quick because I used it earlier out in the garage when I was gutting a bunch of books out there, and I think it has dulled. I buy X-Acto blades on Amazon also. In case you guys haven't figured out, I basically buy everything on Amazon. I even buy dish soap on Amazon. So if I'll put the link to the blades in the description, and those are the smaller ones. I think they're the number 1 or something. Anyway, there's 2 sizes that I get because I have some bigger X-Acto knives too. Okay, so I'm going to gut this. I'm doing it. And, you know, it's just like, it's kind of crazy. So I can see that I can cut through right there. And I don't know if I'm going to wind up using this or not as a journal, but to make a journal, I mean, I just want to see if we can get it back to a point where it's usable, you know. And I think anything is possible with a couple gallons of glue. Anyway, so that's the that's the book block. I'll probably save these pages. Okay. So first, let's pull off anything that is not necessary. This paper is interesting. It's really fibrous. Okay. So I'm holding down the fabric on the bottom while I'm pulling this paper from the top. Whoops. Oh, it was just the paper. Shwoo. Okay. Okay. And then that paper. All right. I guess I could have just taken the paper off like right away. Okay. So that little bit of paper I'm going to leave on there. So this, I'm thinking I can just glue this back down. So I'm going to use the art glitter glue. And this is, I can see the book board right here. So I'm gluing the, I'm gluing this little bit of fabric back down around the edge. And then just trying to keep that, it's just barely hanging on by that little thread right there. All right, so then I'm just gluing this back down. I'm using a fairly generous amount of the art glitter glue. Glue that back down. Okay. It's kind of funny, I think. Okay. So, yeah, you know what? It's all still here. It's just not, you know, it's almost like this book was dropped or something a couple dozen times. So you can see the book cloth right there. It's like, it looks like cheesecloth. And that's a lot of the reason why people use cheesecloth in journals, you know. But it's not the same weight. Book cloth is a lot, it's a heavier weight fabric. So, okay. So let's glue this down onto that fabric. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm keeping everything lined up so I know it's like in the right position. Okay, and I know there's probably a lot of ways to do this, but all right, I want to trim that off, I think. I want to cut this paper off right there. Yeah. And I think I'm going to cut this off too. Just a second. Let me do that really quick. So I guess the whole point is, like, how bad does it have to be before you say, you know, I have to rebuild the spine on that book if I'm going to use it to make a journal? And I think it's kind of fun to do this because it's a challenge, like I said, but also I think it looks cool. Like it gives it a certain layer of like grunginess, right? Okay. All right, so that's that. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use pieces of this. Instead of trying to do one strip, what I think I'm going to do is just do, I'm going to do pieces of it and kind of like bandage it back together, like one like piece at a time. And I'm going to use this glue. So I'm going to start down here just to kind of get it going. Isn't this fun? Okay. Okay, I'm going to turn this over so that I can make sure that that's in the right spot. I should be using the coffee dyed. I forgot. But look at how this fabric kind of goes over onto the spine where it tore. So that's kind of cool. All right. Let's glue that down. Okay. Okay, yeah, now I can see it. So hang on just a second. That was actually pulled in too close. So there we go. That's better. Okay. It's kind of funny, huh? I think it is. Okay, and the other thing you can do is use book repair tape too. So I'll probably will use some book repair tape, but I'm going to do this first. And I am going to use this, the coffee dyed stuff. I'm just going to put a strip right there. Whoops, 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 whoops. I know, it seems ridiculous, doesn't it? But I just want to know how it's going to turn out, you know? So, see, we kind of have it coming back together now. See, that line is lined up, like the fabric that was on the spine here, or on the back cover, it meets up really nicely with the line of the fabric on the spine. So cool. Yay. All right. Okay, now I just want to do this bottom part right here with another piece. And I'm going to put the glue on this instead of trying to apply it to the book. So I'm just kind of gluing that up really good, really well. Mom. Okay, I'm going to attach it onto the book first. See, I use the baby wipe because my fingers get stuck to it so bad. Okay. turn it over, and then glue that down. There. There, just like new. Okay. And then this little piece is going right there. Okay. Okay, now I just got to do up here really quick. I'm going to do a piece going right across there. Okay. This is like doing surgery on a book spine. Okay. See, it's coming back together. Crazy, huh? All right. So now I'm going to take a wider piece and just cover that whole part, you know. So I have some of this gauze that's the wider one too. Yeah. Okay. Now this one I'm going to make slightly shorter, just ever so slightly shorter. Just working in like small sections and kind of like a circular motion, sort of just rubbing the glue into the fabric. Okay. Oops, that part. There we go. It's not too terrible. Excuse me. Okay, I'm going to glue this little corner down. So basically all the like fabric has worn away off of the top of this, and pretty much all the way around. So honestly, I think what I'm going to do is, well, decide if I want to put like something around this edge. I'm thinking about maybe maybe just using the book repair tape, you know, because that's what, you know, that's what people would do, you know, if their book's falling apart. A lot of times they just, oh, look at that. Look, I didn't even notice that whole page is coming up. Hold on. I glue that down. Oops. I think that might look kind of cool, actually. Maybe I'll do it sort of like, you know, like how in the cartoons, when someone has an injury, they just make an X on it. Okay, let's see if any of this other paper. Yeah, this one's lifted too, this corner. Yeah, they just make that X. Or like if somebody has a black eye or something, they put an X on it. I'm thinking maybe I'll do that with the book tape here and there on this book. Okay. Fabric is kind of lifting right there, but it's okay because I'm going to put another layer of fabric on the inside anyways. All right. So I'm going to do my little like gluey trick. In that corner, I'm going to really massage it in. And then squeeze it. You want, if you do this, you really need to squeeze it pretty well because otherwise it gets like swollen and it'll stay like real thick, the excess glue, you know. So do this corner. Anyway, so I guess I just wanted to I just want to show you guys that it honestly, like, you can take a book that's pretty far gone and bring it back and, you know, make it into something that looks really decent. I think that looks really nice. And it's never going to look perfect again, but we don't want it to look perfect. We want it to look grungy and, you know, loved. So, all right. So yeah, I'm going to do another layer of fabric on the inside of this. And I have some other stuff that I wanted to show you guys. I want to do this book too. Do the spine and stuff on this one. It needs some TLC. And also, Karla Frizzelle, she did a video, I think it was last week, showing how she does like stitching on her journals, like through the cover of her journals, like the little golden books. And I was really glad that she did that. So if you haven't seen that video, go watch it. I'll leave a link in the description on this video to her video of, you know, of doing that. And it's something that I do sometimes, especially on the spines of some of these books. And I'm actually, since I saw her video, now I'm thinking, okay, I think I am going to do that on these little French books. And I think that'll look really cool because these are pretty thin. So go check out her video on that, and then maybe we'll do that in another sort of installment on my journey with these beat up book covers. Okay. And yeah, so I'll do another video, you know, maybe working on these. and then doing some stitching on these. And I want to put some paper and stuff and some pockets in these and that kind of thing. So I guess this has turned into another series. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But anyways, so this is where we got to. And I think it is actually pretty cool. So maybe I will give this journal away at the end of this little adventure. We'll see. Okay. All right, guys. Love you. Talk to you soon. Okay. Bye for now. Thanks for watching.